The Grand Hustle dynasty hasn't just fractured, it has descended into an absolute, violent bloodbath right in front of the scales of justice. In a terrifying, leaked security camera video that has completely broken the internet and crashed social media servers worldwide, the self-proclaimed king of the South, Clifford T.I. Harris, was captured launching a brutal, unhinged physical attack against his own son, King Harris, inside the heavily secured lobby of the Atlanta Fulton County Courtroom. Occurring just moments after T.I.'s highly publicized emergency arraignment following the catastrophic BET Awards arrest, this wasn't a standard family argument behind closed doors. This was a raw, chaotic, and physical meltdown of a father completely consumed by rage, lunging over court benches to physically choke out his own flesh and blood. As courtroom security guards frantically fought to restrain the hip-hop mogul, a screaming, defiant King Harris was dragged away, exposing a toxic, multi-million-dollar family war that has completely shattered the legacy of the Harris family forever. The dark, hidden reasons behind this courtroom brawl are absolutely sickening, involving secret side deals, ultimate betrayal, and a son trying to usurp his father's throne while he faces the threat of a devastating prison sentence. Turn up your volume and clear your screens, because the raw footage of this royal execution is about to change everything you know about the Grand Hustle empire. Do not blink, because the empire is collapsing from within. To truly understand how the royal family of Southern hip-hop reached a point of literal physical warfare inside a house of law, we must examine the volatile, hyperexposed relationship between T.I. and his 21-year-old son, King Harris. For over 2 decades, Clifford T.I. Harris has ruled the urban entertainment landscape with a calculated combination of street intellectualism and unapologetic family pride. Through their hit reality television franchise, The Family Hustle, the world watched King Harris grow up in the lap of absolute hip-hop luxury, surrounded by multi-platinum plaques and private security. But beneath the polished network production and the glamorous lifestyle lay a deeply toxic, generational friction that was bound to explode. As King Harris entered adulthood, he developed a desperate, dangerous obsession with escaping his father's immense cultural shadow. He didn't want to be perceived as a privileged industry child born with a silver spoon. He desperately craved the raw, dangerous street credibility that his father had spent decades trying to build and then survive. This psychological desperation manifested in a series of highly public, embarrassing altercations that repeatedly dragged the legendary Harris name through the digital mud. Think about the pattern here. From the infamous viral screaming match at an Atlanta Waffle House where King openly disrespected his parents, to his high-speed traffic stop involving his camel-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck, King Harris continuously attempted to out-trap his father, turning minor legal infractions into warped badges of honor for social media clout. T.I. repeatedly attempted to handle these outbursts with the stern, disciplinary poise of an old-school Southern father, publicly warning his son that time would be his ultimate teacher and that the streets carry real, unglamorous consequences. However, the structural pressure inside the family compound reached an absolute boiling point as T.I.'s own professional world began to completely cave in. Following his sudden, high-profile arrest at the 2026 BET Awards after a violent backstage security clash, the Grand Hustle mogul found himself facing severe corporate blacklists, catastrophic asset freezes, and the terrifying prospect of a permanent operational shutdown. T.I. was already a cornered animal, completely exhausted from defending his multi-million-dollar independent catalog and physically drained from navigating the coldest corporate betrayal of his life by major streaming executives. On the morning of this emergency courtroom hearing, he needed absolute loyalty, silence, and solidarity from his household. Instead, King Harris saw his father's intense legal vulnerability as the perfect opportunistic moment to assert his own dominance, chase a viral moment, and violently seize control of the family narrative. The stage was set for a historic, generational collision that would finally cross the line from standard verbal internet drama into an unprecedented, horrific display of physical violence inside a state court lobby. The atmosphere inside the Atlanta Fulton County Courthouse lobby at exactly 11:15 a.m. was already thick with an unbearable, suffocating level of tension. The massive, echoing corridor was packed to absolute capacity with high-profile journalists, aggressive underground paparazzi, and heavily armed court deputies waiting anxiously for the conclusion of T.I.'s emergency bond hearing. The rap mogul had just stepped out of the heavy courtroom doors, his expression completely frozen in a mask of pure, unadulterated exhaustion, flanked by his elite criminal defense attorneys. He had successfully secured a temporary release, avoiding immediate detention, but his vast financial assets remained heavily restricted under a pending compliance order, leaving him legally vulnerable and emotionally drained. Suddenly, pushing past the media scrum with a highly coordinated entourage of internet videographers, came King Harris. He wasn't there to offer familial comfort, protect his mother, or support his father during the most critical legal crisis of his entire life. Instead, King was aggressively shouting, holding a high-definition smartphone directly in his father's face and recording a highly animated, deeply disrespectful live-stream broadcast for his millions of social media subscribers. "You ain't the king no more. The Matrix got you locked down. Grand hustle is mine now, old man," King Harris screamed, his voice echoing violently off the high marble walls of the courtroom lobby, drawing the immediate, stunned attention of every legal official, lawyer, and bystander in the building. What happened next was captured in vivid, terrifying detail by the courthouse's overhead high-definition security camera, structurally designated as Cam 04, and the footage is absolutely sickening to witness. T.I. completely lost his legendary professional composure. The months of corporate sabotage, the agonizing exhaustion of the BET Awards arrest, and the ultimate public humiliation of being openly mocked by his own son snapped something deep and fundamental within the hip-hop icon's psyche. Dropping his leather legal briefcase to the polished floor, T.I. launched his entire body forward with terrifying, unhinged velocity, lunging completely over a solid wooden spectator bench to physically grab King Harris by the throat. The leaked security footage shows the absolute, raw brutality of the encounter as T.I. pinned his 21-year-old son against a heavy marble column, his face twisted in a mask of pure paternal fury, repeatedly screaming into his face, "I brought you into this world, and I will take you out of it before you destroy my legacy." The courthouse lobby instantly degenerated into an absolute coliseum of pure, terrifying chaos. Multiple court deputies frantically drew their tasers, screaming at the top of their lungs for the hip-hop star to step back and drop his hands, while T.I.'s own frantic legal team desperately tried to pull their client away from his son before additional criminal charges could be stacked against him. King Harris was visibly gasping for air, his custom designer diamond chains flying across the polished floor as his father's grip tightened around his neck. It took 4 heavily armed, full-size security guards to physically tear T.I. away from his son, forcing the screaming mogul down against a wall while King was dragged backward into a secure elevator by his personal videographers, his face pale and his clothes completely torn. But as the initial shock of this unprecedented physical brawl settled over the internet, crashing urban news servers within a matter of minutes, the first massive, stomach-churning twist dropped onto the digital space, proving that this family war is infinitely more demonic than anyone could have ever anticipated. A high-level technical analyst operating within the back-end of the social media platform leaked the digital metadata of the video feed that King Harris was broadcasting right before the attack. The leaked metadata and accompanying internal documents conclusively proved a horrifying reality. King Harris wasn't just throwing a standard, bratty tantrum or acting out on a whim. He had intentionally, meticulously orchestrated the entire violent confrontation. The investigative leak revealed that just 48 hours prior to the court hearing, King Harris had secretly signed an unauthorized, highly lucrative 6-figure production deal with a rogue independent digital streaming platform to produce a reality documentary series titled The Fall of the Kingdom. King wasn't just holding a phone. He was wearing a hidden professional body microphone and a microlens camera concealed within his designer clothing, specifically engineered to capture his father having a violent, unhinged, and career-ending reaction on camera. He deliberately baited his own father into a physical assault inside a federal courtroom lobby because his contract explicitly guaranteed a massive financial bonus if he captured raw, violent altercations involving the Grand Hustle founder. The realization hit the hip-hop community like a physical blow. The independent king hadn't just been assaulted by a rebellious child. He had been completely set up, commodified, and sold out for a viral production check by his own flesh and blood. The viral transmission of that raw courthouse lobby footage did not merely trend across standard metrics. It completely fractured the structural algorithms of modern social media, causing a total global digital blackout for several major platforms within 3 hours of the initial leak. The image of the South's most articulate and celebrated rap king manually throttling his own 21-year-old son inside a house of law completely polarized the global audience, triggering a massive wave of immediate internet pandemonium. On X, formerly known as Twitter, verified insider threads began exposing emergency internal communications from tech executives who were frantically trying to suppress the video to comply with court-ordered media blackouts. Prominent digital accounts began flashing headlines like, "The royal family of Atlanta has collapsed in real time," while millions of viewers engaged in a brutal generational war in the comment sections, turning TikTok into a nonstop coliseum of raw, unfiltered public debate. High-profile celebrity figures couldn't even stay silent as the absolute shock of the brawl rippled through the music industry. Legendary hip-hop commentators and artists began posting frantic, deleted reactions, completely stunned that a father-son relationship could degenerate into a public physical assault right before the eyes of federal law enforcement. But just as the internet reached an absolute boiling point, debating whether T.I. was justified in disciplining his son, or if he had completely crossed the line into criminal misconduct, a secondary, infinitely more devastating twist dropped straight from the Atlanta Fulton County Clerk's digital database, completely shattering the narrative and shifting this family drama into an economic execution. At exactly 4:45 p.m., a formal, emergency legal filing materialized on the public electronic system. King Harris, operating under the direct, clinical guidance of a highly aggressive, predatory celebrity entertainment law firm, had officially filed an emergency criminal protective order and a catastrophic multi-million-dollar civil assault lawsuit against his own father. The civil complaint cited severe physical trauma, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and permanent structural damage to his professional brand, demanding an astronomical $5.5 million in immediate compensatory damages. Think about the sheer, terrifying brilliance of this legal maneuver for a second. This wasn't just emotional response from an angry teenager seeking revenge. It was a highly calculated, cold-blooded institutional strike. Under Georgia state law, when a domestic violence civil suit is filed concurrently with an active criminal investigation, like T.I.'s pending BET Awards case, it automatically triggers a systemic compliance order. The state immediately issued an absolute, total freeze on T.I.'s remaining emergency bail assets and core corporate legal defense funds to guarantee the potential multi-million-dollar payout for his son. Do you see the absolute cruelty of the setup? King Harris didn't just leak the video for temporary digital clout. His legal team utilized the physical altercation that King intentionally baited his father into to completely disarm T.I. financially, stripping him of his ability to pay his high-priced criminal defense attorneys who were handling his primary federal charges. Overnight, the King of the South found himself entirely trapped in a financial vacuum, abandoned by his representation because his operational capital was completely locked down in an escrow account controlled by the court. Insiders from the Grand Hustle camp began whispering to underground blogs that T.I. was completely isolated inside his private estate, facing the very real prospect of returning to a federal holding cell because his bail architecture had collapsed under the weight of his own son's lawsuit. But just as the public prepared to write the definitive obituary for T.I.'s career and freedom, a team of independent digital forensic investigators analyzed the leaked contract for King's Rogue documentary series, uncovering a final, chilling detail that raises terrifying new questions. The hidden financial backers funding King's lawsuit and his multi-million-dollar production deal weren't an independent media network at all, They were a shell company directly tied to the exact same corporate music conglomerate that has been trying to seize T.I.'s classic masters catalog for the last 3 years. The realization sent a wave of cold horror through the entire hip-hop industry. The Matrix hadn't just attacked the king from the outside. They had literally bought his own son, weaponized his own blood, and turned his family into the ultimate corporate Trojan horse designed to completely eliminate him from existence. The global urban landscape has officially descended into an unprecedented cultural civil war, completely paralyzed by the atomic-level fallout of the Harris family collapse. The terrifying sight of a hip-hop founding father physically lunging over courtroom benches to choke out his own flesh and blood has shattered the music community, drawing a hard, unyielding line in the concrete between old-school traditionalists and the hyper-exposed digital generation. This isn't just standard celebrity gossip anymore. It is a profound, deeply disturbing look at what happens when the hunger for internet metrics completely consumes the sacred bond of family. Across every major social media platform, online server networks are actively melting down under the weight of hundreds of millions of furious comments, video reactions, and highly aggressive fan debates that are tearing the culture apart at its very seams. During a highly volatile, 3-hour emergency broadcast of his top-rated cultural review platform, Joe Budden completely lost his composure, slamming his headphones onto his mixing desk and staring directly into the camera lens with raw, unfiltered disgust. "We are witnessing the absolute, demonic death of family morals, all for the sake of a viral production check," Budden shouted, his voice visibly trembling with pure outrage. A 21-year-old boy intentionally walks into a federal courthouse lobby wearing a hidden wire and a concealed micro-lens camera, explicitly to bait his own father into a physical altercation while that man is fighting for his literal freedom. T.I. built the very infrastructure that allowed that child to grow up in a multi-million-dollar mansion, and this is how he repays him? To weaponize your own father's legal trauma, to orchestrate his financial downfall, and then file a civil lawsuit that freezes his bail assets? That isn't clout chasing. That is an absolute, cold-blooded institutional execution. Any streaming network or digital platform that dares to release King's rogue documentary should be permanently boycotted by every single person who respects this culture. In sharp, clinical, and profoundly toxic opposition to the widespread cultural heartbreak, T.I.'s perpetual digital antagonist, 50 Cent, wasted absolutely zero time capitalizing on the catastrophic family trauma for maximum engagement. Within minutes of the lawsuit filing becoming public record, the New York rap mogul flooded his official feeds with a nonstop cyber barrage, uploading the unedited security footage of T.I. jumping the benches on a continuous, mocking loop. "Look at the self-proclaimed king of the South out here doing Olympic track hurdles over courtroom furniture," 50 Cent wrote in a highly inflammatory caption that instantly sparked a separate internet firestorm. "Cliff, I told you 1,000 times that you cannot bring trap house rules into a billion-dollar corporate boardroom chess game. That boy out-trapped you. He didn't just take the punch. He legally liquidated your entire legal defense fund. That's a checkmate right there. If you need some real, professional security to keep you from jumping over benches next time, you know who to call." The public square is now locked in a state of absolute, toxic polarization. Younger commentators are fiercely counter-arguing that T.I. is a hypocritical, violent bully who used physical trauma to suppress his son's individual voice, claiming that King had every legal right to protect his brand from his father's toxic legal liabilities. Meanwhile, major lifestyle brands, corporate sponsors, and regional promoters are officially executing a total, immediate freeze on all contracts associated with the Grand Hustle name, pushing the entire Southern rap economy into a historic commercial blackout. The lines are drawn, the fire is spreading, and the underlying question fueling further absolute chaos is terrifying. Did the corporate matrix just successfully use a man's own son to permanently destroy his freedom and seize his life's work? Just when the global collective audience believed that this generational tragedy had reached its absolute peak with King Harris legally liquidating his own father's legal defense fund, the narrative didn't just shift, it experienced a total, catastrophic inversion that has thrown the entire legal and financial infrastructure of urban entertainment into a state of blind, unadulterated psychological terror. At exactly 3:45 a.m., an encrypted audio file was suddenly dropped onto a decentralized whistleblowing network by an anonymous hacker collective, accompanied by a single, chilling line of text. The king was never fighting his son. He was fighting his entire household. The contents of this leaked recording have completely shattered the remaining fragments of the grand hustle legacy, exposing a dark multi-layered domestic conspiracy that goes infinitely deeper than an immature 21-year-old child chasing a viral check for internet clout. The leaked audio features a highly confidential, encrypted phone conversation that took place at exactly 7:30 a.m. on the very morning of T.I.'s courtroom arraignment. The voices on the line are unmistakably clear, and they don't belong to rival music executives or corporate matrix gatekeepers. The tape captures a secret tactical conversation between King Harris and his own mother, the matriarch of the family, Tiny Harris. The digital recording catches Tiny explicitly instructing her son on exactly which corridor of the Atlanta Fulton County Courthouse lobby to enter, advising him on how to position his hidden microlens cameras, and telling him precisely what phrases to scream to ensure his father completely lost his emotional composure on a live public feed. You have to make him react. King, Tiny's voice whispers through the heavily distorted static of the encrypted line. He's completely cornered by the corporate blacklists, and if he doesn't snap on camera, the network won't clear the six-figure advance check for our independent production deal. We have to secure the asset restructuring before the federal compliance order freezes the main catalog permanently. Do you see the absolute horror of the trap that was actually laid for T.I. in that marble corridor? The physical altercation we saw on that security footage wasn't just a standard failure of paternal discipline. It was the explosive, agonizing reaction of a man who suddenly realized in real time that his entire immediate family had turned against him for absolute financial survival. The leak has exposed that behind closed doors, a massive, hidden legal battle has been raging inside the Harris estate, with Tiny quietly preparing a catastrophic asset split and restructuring of the family trust to insulate their remaining wealth from T.I.'s mounting federal liabilities. She allegedly collaborated with the exact same corporate entity backing King's Rogue documentary to ensure that the intellectual property rights of the Grand Hustle catalog would legally transfer to her and the children if T.I. was sent back to a federal holding cell for domestic misconduct. The proudly independent king of the South wasn't just blindsided by a rebellious teenager. He was systematically executed by a domestic Trojan horse operated by the people he spent 25 years protecting. As we speak, the entire hip-hop industry is hovering over the absolute edge of a total psychological cliff. T.I. has reportedly locked down his heavily secured compound, completely severing all communications with his family, while a team of elite federal investigators have reportedly requested copies of the newly leaked audio files. But the absolute final cliffhanger of this unfolding war just materialized on King Harris's streaming domain. A definitive, crimson countdown clock has just been activated, ticking away the seconds toward exactly 24 hours from this very moment, titled The Unedited Tapes, The Royal Execution. The global audience is trapped in a state of pure panic, knowing that when that timer hits zero, the full, unredacted boardroom and domestic recordings will drop, potentially triggering a definitive wave of criminal indictments and marital downfalls that will permanently incinerate the Harris dynasty forever. The point of absolute no return has officially been crossed, and the true horror is only just beginning. Did King Harris and Tiny completely destroy T.I.'s legacy for a viral payout, or was this a desperate survival move to escape the corporate matrix? Will the Harris dynasty survive this ultimate domestic betrayal, or is this the permanent end of the Grand Hustle empire? Drop your raw theories in the comments section right now. To get the exclusive breakdown the exact second that 24-hour countdown timer hits zero and the unedited tapes leak, smash that like button to beat the algorithm, hit subscribe, and lock in all notifications immediately. Stay alert, because the fallout is going to be absolutely cataclysmic.